Hello students, welcome to StudyIQ's initiative on WBCS 2024. তোমরা যারা প্রিলিমস দিচ্ছ এই বছর, that is on the December 15th, or যারা আগের বছর প্রিলিমস দিচ্ছ এই বছর মেন্স দিচ্ছ in August. So for all of you people যারা এক্সাম দিতে চাইছো, for them this sessions are very important because the focal points, we are trying to cover them in a holistic way. Because at times কি হয় যে we cannot cover details respect to Bengal and we see certain questions যেটা বেঙ্গলের হিস্ট্রি ওরিয়েন্টেড থাকে, অনেক সময় আমরা সোর্সেসও পাই। তো স্টাডি আইকিউ ইজ ট্রাইং টু প্রোভাইড ইউ উইথ অল দিস। নাও এর আগে আমরা একটা টপিক করেছি দি অরিজিন অফ পিপল ইন বেঙ্গল। সো দ্যাট ওয়াজ স্টিল দি চালকোলিথিক পিরিয়ড, প্রি হিস্ট্রি থেকে চালকোলিথিক, ডুয়েলভিং দি ancient history of Bengal. So today our topic is the part after that. So ancient India from the perspective of Vedic age, then the latter Vedic age, then the post-Vedic age. That is the age of Mahajanapadas. So what we will focus is MCQs. Key question তোমরা এটা থেকে পেতে পারো, right? Because a lot of history will be there. I'll tell you in a story form so that you don't feel bored anyway. And তোমাদের যদি কোনো রকম প্রশ্ন থাকে, definitely you will write in the comment section, and otherwise also আমাকে মেল করতে পারো kinkini.friend@studiiq.com. So I'll start the session and let's not waste the time, right? So first part is the Vedic period. So in the Vedic period, what do we need to know? First we need to know what is the Vedic period before we jump into the Bengal respective Vedic period ki. So দেখো, when we talk about the Vedic period, so what comes into our mind? Vedic period just আগের period হচ্ছে the Chalcolithic period, right? Chalcolithic period is all about coppers. Indus Valley civilization is a Chalcolithic period. Then কোনো একটা period, কোনো একটা era অন্য একটা era থেকে differentiate কি করে হচ্ছে? Change in the administration, change in the economy, change in the society. All these things brings a cumulative change. So what change we see? প্রথম জিনিস যেটা খুবই important is the change of the metal. Chalcolithic was all about copper. When we are seeing in Bengal, it was the Pandu Raja Dhivi. We have seen a site. It was to some extent kind of a proto-urbanized site. So in case of the Vedic period, the metal would change. The metal is none other than iron. The metal is none other than iron. Now this iron, when they come with iron, what advantages we get? So iron is a strong metal. We can clear forest with iron. এর আগে কি হতো, if you want to go towards the eastern part of India, so due to the forest and due to the tropical kind of forest or moist deciduous forest which are very dense, clearing the forest, settling down was tough. Okay? So for that particular respect, copper was not sufficing that thing. Also iron plows, iron থেকে বানানো যে plows হবে, লাঙ্গল হবে, সেটা দিয়ে you can do better agriculture. So with the advent of Aryans in the 1500 BC, 1500 BC এর কথা বলা হচ্ছে, we can see the start of an age which is called as the Vedic age. What is the difference with the previous ages? First is the use of iron. Second is that this was not a urban kind of an age. Indus Valley civilization was urbanized. First আমরা যখন Vedic age দেখছি, this is not urbanized. Now in the Indus Valley or in the Chalcolithic period, what are the references? আমরা এখন পান্ডু রাজা ধিবির ব্যাপারে আমি বলেছি. I have not talked about any book. মনে করে দেখবে when the origin of people in Bengal we were doing, so I have not talked about any books. Reference of text was not talked because either if there is a text we cannot decipher it, we have yet not deciphered it, otherwise text is missing. So we learnt about them from their usable commodities, usable things like the potteries, artifacts, tools, bones. But here, that is from the Vedic age, আমরা কোনো একটা particular age কে not only from the perspective আসবাবপত্র যা ছিল তাদের, তাছাড়াও আমরা আরেকটা জিনিস থেকে জানতে পারবো তাদের ব্যাপারে is the text. So what is the text of the Vedic age? The text of the Vedic age is the Rig Veda. The first text is the Rig Veda. The first known text is the Rig Veda. So Rig Veda, if you see, so we will not go into Rig Veda, that will need some explanation. I will just keep a brief because we are talking in the context of Bengal today. So Rig Veda is the book of Aryans. So Aryans come to India and in the 1500 BC, so they are having this Rig Veda, and they write about a lot of things here, their own culture, their own beliefs, their own system of economy. Now, this Rig Veda does not mention about Vanga or Banga. There is no mention in Rig Veda about Vanga or Banga. So, in the ancient times, the first reference, as I have said you when I was talking about the origin of people in Bengal, I said first reference we are finding in Mahabharata. Key reference আমরা পেয়েছিলাম Bhim going to the battle with the kings of Vanga and Bhim winning it. Okay? So that was the first reference we found. So in Rig Veda there is no reference. Now after Rig Veda, in the latter Vedic age, there are other three texts, the other three Vedas, Sam, Yajur and the Atharvana Ved. Out of the other Veds, so দেখো Vedic age এর book হচ্ছে Rig Veda. In the latter Vedic age, we have three books. Out of the three books, the Sam Ved, the Yajur Ved and Atharvana Ved, we find the mention of Anga and Magad in the Atharvana Ved. Okay? Right? We find the mention of this place, Magad and Anga, which is respect to the Bengal part, is in the Atharvana Ved. এবার এখানে আরেকটা প্রশ্ন আসবে, সেটা হচ্ছে ভেদিক এজ থেকে ল্যাটার ভেদিক কেন আমরা যাচ্ছি, আবার ল্যাটার ভেদিক থেকে পোস্ট ভেদিক কেন যাচ্ছি, what differentiates them? So see, this is very important, this is very interesting as well. Rig Veda, Aryans come to India. So who are Aryans? They are actually tribes. And India তেও কিছু, that time at the India was not like unified India what we see today. So এখানে নিজস্ব কিছু inhabitants ছিল, right? So this Aryan people wanted to occupy places and they wanted to occupy wealth. At that time wealth bolte ki bujhto? Cows were the wealth. So accumulating cows, wars were for cows, cow shares. So these people were tribal in origin. Everybody, wherever you will see, the kingdoms were also tribal in origin. So a system of monarchy was not totally established. What does it mean? যে রাজা ছিল, সে রাজা আমরা কন্টেম্পোরারি টাইমে যেরকম বুঝি, কি মেডিয়েভাল টাইমে যেরকম বুঝি, ওরকম ছিল না, বিকজ দেয়ার ওয়াজ নো টেরিটরি, রাইট? যে আমি এই রাজ্যত্বের রাজা, এরকম ছিল না। দি পারসন হু ওয়াজ দি কিং ওয়াজ দি হেড অফ দি ক্ল্যান, একটা কোনো গ্রুপ অফ পিপলের হেড ছিল। ওকে, সো ইট ওয়াজ বেসড অন tribes. It was based on the Jana or Gana. So who are Jana or Gana? It was the tribes. So tribal leader. Who is the leader of the tribe? It is the Raja, Rajan. Right? Rajan. So Rajan is the head. What kind of head? What was the system of administration? Was it based on centralized power? No. দেখো, এই টাইমে, because there were not a lot of people involved, he was not a leader of a lot of mass. Okay, he was just the leader of his kingship, blood ties, একটা ছোট ট্রাইবের। So all the decisions were taken by consensus. सहमति से हर decision लिया जाता था. So what kind of consensus? So this particular people, the Jana or Gana, actually had two types of committees. They were the Sabha and the Samiti. So Sabha was the elders who would participate. Samiti was everybody, including women. Okay, including women. So Vedic age mein we will see that people and women were not that subjugate. ঠিক আছে? So এই একটা ফ্যাক্টর এখানে তুমি দেখতে পাবে। ল্যাটার ভেদিক এজে এগুলো চেঞ্জ হবে। Varna system will strengthen. Okay, non-Aryans people will be seen differently. So in the latter Vedic age, things would change. Now these people were actually ruling by consensus. মানে হচ্ছে যে কোনো একটা পার্টিকুলার জিনিসের উপর ডিসিশন নিতে হবে। So Rajan will lead it, but overall সবার সহমতিতে, সবার বিচার নিয়েই একটা পার্টিকুলার কনসেনসাসে আসা হচ্ছে। So this is not kind of a monarchical system. A little bit of a primitive kind of a democracy you can see here. Third or fourth thing let's understand. After we have understood it, then population started increasing. পিপল একটা সেডেন্টারি লাইফে চলে গেল। হোয়াট ডু ইউ মিন বাই সেডেন্টারি লাইফ? একটা জায়গাতে স্থিত হয়ে বাস করতে স্টার্ট করলো। দে স্টার্টেড অ্যাকিউমুলেটিং মাস, দ্যাট ইজ ওয়েলথ। What kind of wealth? As I said you, it was the cows. Cows killing করা স্টপ হলো, animal husbandry দিকে তারা গেল, for milk production, for cheese, for paneer. Also they went for other things like cultivation, right? Food crop cultivation. So for food crop cultivation, what do you need? You need land. Third thing হচ্ছে, in the case of the Vedic period, you will see that taxation system was very vague. ডাইরেক্ট কোনো ট্যাক্সেশন ছিল না, এভরিথিং ওয়াজ ভলেন্টারি। ইউ গো টু আ ওয়ার, ইউ উইন দি ওয়ার, তুমি ওয়ার থেকে যাই আনছো সেটা তুমি ডিস্ট্রিবিউট করবে উইথ রাজন অ্যান্ড আদার পিপল অফ ইয়োর ক্লান। ওকে, ইটস লাইক আ ফ্যামিলি, এক্সটেন্ডেড ফ্যামিলি। বাট ল্যাটার টাইম আমরা কি দেখবো, যে দি পপুলেশন উইল ইনক্রিজ অ্যান্ড দেয়ার ইজ নো সাচ কনসেপ্ট দ্যাট ইউ উইল ডু ইট, রাইট? তুমি অতজনের মধ্যে ডিস্ট্রিবিউশন করতে পারবে না, অ্যান্ড দ্যাট ইজ ওয়াই ল্যাটার টাইমসে, স্পেশালি ইন দি পোস্ট ভেদিক, we will see that taxation will become compulsory. Taxation will become compulsory. But since Vedic age there is no compulsory taxation, you can understand, you cannot have a continuous band of army men. How will you pay them, right? So it was based on exigency. Whenever you needed a people to fight for you, তুমি নিজের tribes থেকে লোক নিয়ে যাবে, you will fight the battle, right? So the taxation system was based on voluntary givings, okay, bali, okay, but later it will be different. Later it won't be just bali, you will have to give some taxation because this state will fix it. So that will be the latter periods. So what we have learned as of yet, that it was a kind of a system যেখানে তোমার land based kingdoms ছিল না, but it was based on the tribes. But ধীরে ধীরে they will have a sedentary type of lifestyle, and এই রিজনটার জন্য তারা ধীরে ধীরে land based system এ যাবে, okay? And also the situation of women will deteriorate with time, with the consolidation of varna system, with the consolidation of other things. And Vedic age was patrilineal in nature. The head was always the male member. But in the Vedic age, like the latter Vedic age er age Vedic age, we see some philosophers, some women who were in the forefront, like we have seen Gayatri, we see, right? Also we see Gargi. So a lot of people we will see like that, but latter Vedic age eta kintu kome jabe. Fine, so that is something here we needed to know. Then in the context of Bengal, let's come to what we have to discuss. So একটা overview তোমরা বুঝতে পারলে। Vedic age, Rig Vedate, we don't have a information related to Bengal. So if you have followed the last lecture, you must be remembering that Bengal is first mentioned as Vanga or Banga, where? In Mahabharat. What Mahabharat mentions, the first excerpt about Vanga is about that King Bhim goes to war with two other kings of Vanga, and King Bhim wins it. King Bhim জয়ী হয়ে আসে। সেকেন্ড জিনিস যেটা আমরা দেখবো সেটা হচ্ছে the people Aryans non Aryans দেরকে Dashyus বলতো, Dashyus, and this Dashyus in the context of Bengal were the Pundra, okay, the Pundras. Pundras were the people যারা নর্থ বেঙ্গলকে ইনহ্যাবিটেড করতো, নর্থ বেঙ্গল থেকে শুরু করে extended till বাংলাদেশ. Vanga was in the southern part of Bengal. Vanga was in the southern part and Shuhuma was in the western part. Anga was in the part of Bihar, Harikela and Samtata with near the Vanga. Vangar আশেপাশে Samtata and Harikela ছিল. Now you may ask, Anga is in Bihar, why are we considering this in Bengal? Because at that time Bengal meant Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, undivided Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, West Bengal, East Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. So everything was under the ambit of Bengal. Okay? Now moving to the next part. So we have understood that iron age started, we have the Vedic age. Then we have the latter Vedic age, right? যেখানে consolidation of power is occurring. How? Increase of the number of population, increase of wealth, more wars, more want of power. So তুমি যদি পাওয়ারফুল হতে চাও, you are seeing you need resources. তো তখন দেখা গেল যে most important resource is by doing agriculture you can have a lot of food, right? So food is the primary thing at that time. So people started thinking to have food you need to have land. So territory based kingdoms will come up. Territory, the first time territory becomes a source or resource. এর আগে পর্যন্ত territory is not a capital. From the post Vedic age, territory is a capital. Based on that, you have Mahajanapadas. Let's break the word. Mahajana and Padas. Maha, big. Maha is big. Jana, tribe. Already I discussed. Gana or Jana is the tribe. And Padas, where you sit your foot. যেখানে তুমি দাঁড়িয়ে আছো। কোথায় দাঁড়িয়ে আছো? Land. Big land of the people. Bigger spacious যেখানে তোমার অনেক লোকে থাকে। It has a monarch. Okay? Or it has a oligarchy. কিছু হতে পারে। So it became big and that is why Sabha and Samiti, right? আমরা এখন consensus এ আসার কথা বলছিলাম with the Rajan. I was discussing there were two groups. Sabha and Samiti, they would come to consensus. But in case of the Mahajanapadas, people are এত এসব লোক চলে এলো, you cannot have that perspective that you will go and make them favor you, right? অত লোককে নিয়ে you cannot come to a consensus. So this Sabha and Samiti, even though to some extent it existed, but it was not as democratic as it was before. So এটা চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাবে। কিরকম চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাবে? The Raja, the king would be the premier. He would be the person who will lead the Mahajanpad. Now, Janpad তো অনেক থাকতে পারে, অনেক ছোট ছোট kingdoms থাকতে পারে, but Mahajanpad were only 16. How do we know that? From a book called Anguttar Nikaya. From a book called Anguttar Nikaya. So about Mahajanapadas we come to know from a book known as Anguttara Nikaya. So this book Anguttara Nikaya is part of the religion of Buddhism. কেন? Buddhism যখন after the death of Buddha, when there was the council, Buddhist council, so in the first council there were two books compiled. Okay, it was the Sutta Pitaka and another was the Vinaya Pitaka. After that, in the third council, another book came, it was Abhidhamma Pitaka. What are these Pitakas? Three Pitakas are there, P-I-T-A-K-S. এই তিনটে পিটাকা বুদ্ধিজমকে সামারাইজ করে। ওকে, সো দিস সুত্তা পিটাকা টকস অ্যাবাউট যে বুদ্ধার কি প্রিচিং, বুদ্ধা কি কি বলে গেছেন। বিনয় পিটাকা টকস অ্যাবাউট যে যারা মংস, বুদ্ধিজমে যারা মংস কিংবা নানস, তারা কিরকম লাইফস্টাইল লিড করবে, দি রুলস ফর দেম। And then you have the Abhidhamma Pitaka. Abhidhamma Pitaka talks about the philosophy of Buddhism. Abhidhamma Pitaka talks about the philosophy of Buddhism. Right? So these are the three Pitakas. So once you know these three Pitakas, you will understand that this is the soul of Buddhism. ठीक है? So Buddhism কোন এজে আমরা দেখছি? Basically in the post-Vedic period only. Now this Sutta Pitaka is divided into another 5 sections, another 5 parts you can say. Out of this 5 section, one is Anguttara Nikaya. One of them is Anguttara Nikaya, which talks about this 16 Mahajanapadas. Big territories ruled by kings or oligarchies. Now আমি king, oligarchy word গুলো use করছি, meaning should be clear. দেখো কোথাও কোথাও it was a monarch, মানে হচ্ছে only one person is ruling the entire Mahajanapada. Just for example, we will see the case of Magadhe যখন we will see the Mauryans. Otherwise, a case could be there যেখানে আমরা oligarchy দেখবো. What do you mean by oligarchy? A set of elites ruling it. A set of elite people ruling it. একটা যে কোনো রাজা নেই. By the name, নামকে বাস্তে একটা রাজা থাকতে পারে, but he has to take paramarsh, he has to take decisions from others also. So that is kind of a oligarchy. ठीक है? So this 16 Mahajanpadas from the Anguttar Nikaya find mention, okay, and this encompasses two Mahajanpadas যেটা বেঙ্গলে ছিল. They are Magad and Anga. As I already have said you, Bihar was part of Bengal. So Magad and Anga, these two were part of Bengal. ঠিক আছে? Second জিনিস, previously we have seen that in the post Vedic period we are talking here. Before that we have the latter Vedic period and Vedic period. Vedic period Rig Veda we find no mention. Latter Vedic period we have three Vedas, the Sam Ved, Yajur Ved, Atharvana Ved. So this Atharvana Ved mentions the Magad and Anga. এবার আরেকটা জিনিস এখানে খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট, সেটা হচ্ছে যে the first three, the Rig Ved, Sam Ved, Ayurved, Rig Ved, Sam Ved and Yajur Ved. এই তিনটে Ved were the Vedas যেটা Brahmins could read. The Atharvana Ved was something যেটা Brahmins will tell not to read. It was based on the tribes of India at that time. So there in Atharvana Ved we find the mention of Magad and Anga. But to your amazement, you will see Atharvana Ved is one of the most scientific ones. Okay, even though it has some perspective related to spiritualism, but there they have talked about geometry, they have talked about astronomy in Atharvana Ved, যেটা অন্য Vede missing. Fine. So now out of these 16 Mahajanpadas, two are with us in Bengal, that is the Anga and Magad. Now let's refer to the map a little. In the north, the two Mahajanpadas you have is Khamboj or Khambuja and Gandhara, right? Then you come to the south, you have Asmak. Middle mein you have Avanti, right? South Asmak, middle you have Avanti. It's in the part of contemporary time dekhle it is part of Madhya Pradesh. And in the Bengal you have Magad and Anga. Then you go this side, so you have Kurus, Panchala, Matsya, Saura, Shen, Vatsa, Koshal, Chedi, Kashi, Malla. So all these are there. Okay, so these are the parts of 16 Mahajanpada. So try to understand the territory, geography. দেখো last time আমি বলেছিলাম যে only you will retain things if you understand things by the perspective of geography. তুমি যদি geography মনে রাখতে পারো তোমার এগুলো মনে থাকবে, otherwise it will become very clumsy for you to remember the things. ঠিক আছে? Now moving to the next part. So the next part is the most important part, যেখান থেকে আমরা MCQs পেতে পারি. এর আগে যেগুলো ছিল সেগুলোতে কিরকম MCQs আসবে সেটা আমি একবার ডিসকাস করে দিচ্ছি. প্রথম হচ্ছে যে বেঙ্গলের ফার্স্ট মেনশন মহাভারত. সেকেন্ড হচ্ছে যে you can get a question that Kalidas has also mentioned about Vanga. Okay, so that is also important because he has written that Raghu, the king Raghu, goes in war with the warriors or the kings of Vanga. Kalidasher কাছেও এটা মেনশন আছে. Third thing is the 16 Mahajanpadas, তার মধ্যে থেকে Magad and Anga are part of Bengal. ঠিক আছে? 16 Mahajanpadas are part of Anguttar Nikaya, which is part of Sutta Pitaka of Buddhism. Right? So these are the things you know. Then you know that Vedic age is about Iron Age, start of Iron Age, and latter Vedic age. Then we have post Vedic age. Post Vedic age starts in the 6th century BC, right? 6th century BC, right? But here you have to understand one thing, that the Aryans came to India and start of Vedic is 1500 BC. So 1500 BC থেকে approximately 6th century BC tak we will see that it is the perspective which relates to the Vedic age, latter Vedic age. তারপরে post Vedic age consolidation of land, and based on that monarch and oligarchies, that is the part of 16 Mahajanapadas. ठीक है? Now, ancient kingdoms of West Bengal. अच्छा, another thing, অনেক বাচ্চাদের আমি দেখি যে there is a doubt with respect to this, the DCE and the Anno Domini or CE, right? So see, Anno Domini is 0, এখান থেকে আমরা নিই, is the birth of Christ. DC is before Christ era, right? So when we are coming 1500 BC, ঠিক আছে? So এরকম করে আমরা আসতে থাকবো, then we have 6th century BC, right? Then we have this 6th century BC is 500 BC approximately, ঠিক আছে? 500 BC approximately. তো এরকম করতে করতে we will come to 0. Then again from 0 we will go this side. So ancient India we generally see till the time of 700 800 AD tak we consider ancient India. Okay, 700 800 AD tak whatever we see we consider it ancient India. এরপর থেকে we will see the advent of Arabs and things, and then we will consider it the part of the medieval. Now there is also something the ancient থেকে আমরা medieval কেন যাচ্ছি, that is also a question. What is the difference? That also I will talk about. I will give a brief today only, but before that we will do this part. Let's not deviate. তো দেখো প্রথমত আমাদের কাছে কি আছে, এটা সবথেকে ইম্পর্টেন্ট, অলওয়েজ আই সে ম্যাপ, উইদাউট ম্যাপ হিস্ট্রি ইজ লাইক ব্লাইন্ড হয়ে জিনিসপত্র হাতের বানানো কিছুই বুঝতে পারবে না, কারণ হিস্ট্রি is due to the geography of a particular place. History is a lot dependent on that. তুমি যদি জিওগ্রাফি বুঝতে পারো, তুমি বুঝতে পারবে যে যেরকম ধরো when we say this Mauryans came to the power and they were very strong, that was not because they were like that only. They were definitely good, but overall the place where they were ruling, that was also very important. Resources there, wood was there, elephants were there, and the place was surrounded by river, so তাই জন্য invasions were less. So এরকম ভাবেই different জায়গা, যেরকম বেঙ্গলে যখন আমরা দেখছি যে advent of Arabs হচ্ছে, but Bengal still we will see there was a stability because এত দূর এসে invade করাবার stuff. So let's start. So we will see the kingdoms. First is Vanga. Vangar ব্যাপারে already আমি অনেক কিছুই বলে দিয়েছি তোমাদেরকে, so you know, let's just revise once. Vanga is first mentioned in the Mahabharata, King Bhima and the episode. Second thing is about Vanga is that Vanga, the rulers of Vanga, according to Mahabharata, sided with the Kauravas. যখন মহাভারতে war হচ্ছে, তো they sided, they were the allies of Kauravas. Kaurav they supported ছিল, and they were very good warriors because তাদের কাছে elephants ছিল. Okay. Second thing which we should know about Vanga is who are Vangas, from where do they come. According to Mahabharata again, it is said that they are son of Bali and they are adopted son of Bali. Adopted from whom? Adopted from Rishi. Okay, কোন ঋষি থেকে? It was Gautama Dirghatama. Gautam Dirghatam. Gautam Dirghatam থেকে they were adopted. This can be a question as well. Okay, descendants of Gautam Dirghatam, adopted son of Bali as per the Mahabharatas. এছাড়া Vangar ব্যাপারে one thing you should know is the geography. So Vanga তুমি যদি দেখো, it is in the southern part of Bengal, around the part যেখানে তোমার এটা east, west and north এ, this is surrounded by the Ganges and its river system, Ganges, Padma, Bhagirathi, and it extends till the delta region of Bay of Bengal. Okay, fertile tract, good agriculture, right. Now second we will go to the Anga. Anga is mentioned in the Anguttar Nikaya. আর কোথায় আমরা দেখলাম? In the Atharvana Ved also. So Anga and its capital is something you can get question on. Angar capital হচ্ছে in Champa in Bihar. Champa in Bihar. CHAMPA in Bihar. Now Angas mentioned are also mentioned in Mahabharata. Why? Because Anga was actually gifted, কাকে gift করা হয়েছিল? Karnake, the son of Kunti, by his friend the Kaurava ruler who Duryodhan. So Duryodhan gifted Karna Anga and he became the king of Anga. This is important. Also, we find the mention of Anga in Ramayana. Ramayana te ekta episode ache. It's very interesting to know that Lord Shiva punishes the Lord of Love, who is a Kamdev, and he burns him in Anga. Okay, that is also another episode. Then actually the person, that is Kamdev, the god of love, goes to Kamakhya. Kamakhya is in Assam, and ওখানে গিয়ে পরে কামাখ্যা দেবীর পুজো করেন, and then he gets back his beautiful look. So that is why Kamakhya is also called as Kamrup Kamakhya. Okay, so episode starts from Anga. So this is a mythology, but you should know. But question কি আসতে পারে? They may ask you Anga কোথায় কোথায় mentioned? Anguttar Nikay, Atharvana Ved, Mahabharat, also in the Ramayana, right? Fine. And its capital is in Champa, which is very important. You may be asked any day, the Angar capital is at Champa, Bihar. So at that time when we are talking, Bengal is Bihar, Bengal, that is undivided Bengal, East Bengal, West Bengal, Odisha, to some extent parts of Assam as well. ঠিক আছে? So it was a big territory. Then we have Pundra. So Pundraর region যদি তুমি দেখো, it extends from the north of Bengal and extends to the Bangladesh region. এখনকার দিনে যেটা East Bengal আমরা পরে দেখি, then turned into Bangladesh. So it extends till the Bangladesh region. So Pundras, what is the relevant? It is very important because there was a king in the Pundras and his name was Pundraka Vasudev. Pundraka Vasudev. Pundraka Vasudev was a very valiant ruler. What did he do? He actually brought Pundra, Vanga and Kirata into consolidated empire. So Pundra, Vanga, Kirata, এই তিনটে নিয়ে Pundraka Vardhan was there. Who did it? Pundraka Vasudeva. Pundraka Vasudeva is the most important ruler. Also, Pundraka Vasudeva did another thing. He went to an alliance with the king of Magad. His name was Jarasandha or Jarasandh. So Pundraka Vasudeva went with an alliance with Jarasandh of Magad. ঠিক আছে? তো এই দুটো জিনিস থেকেও কিন্তু প্রশ্ন আসতে পারে. Also Pundraka is the part of northern Bengal. Suhumas, এটা খুব মন দিয়ে শুনবে, একটু ডিফারেন্ট লাগবে এর আগে যেগুলো আমরা পড়লাম তার থেকে. These Suhumas are first mentioned in the text of Achar Anga Sutra. Acharanga Sutra. Acharanga Sutra এভাবে যদি আমি বলি তোমরা হয়তো মনে রাখতে পারবে না, একটা ব্রিফ কনটেক্সট জানা দরকার. Acharanga Sutra is a book of Jain tradition. Jainer 24 তীর্থঙ্কর ছিলেন Mahavir. Mahavir was the 24th তীর্থঙ্কর and he establishes this Jainism as a tradition. So Mahavir যেগুলো বলেছিলেন সেগুলো একটা compilation করা হয়েছিল after the death of Mahavir. It is known as Agamas. Now এই যে Agamas, these were vast. এটাকে shorten করা হয়েছিল into 12 Angas. এই 12টা যে Angas সেটার একটা হচ্ছে Acharanga Sutra. So Acharanga Sutra mentioned about Suhamas. So Sumas or Suhamas এরা কোথাকার ছিল in part of Bengal? They were in the part of the west of Bengal. They were part of Bardhaman, Hugli, Mednapur, okay, then 24 Parganas and extending till the Bay of Bengal. মানে basically এটা হচ্ছে তোমার west of Bhagirathi. West of Bhagirathi te Suhumas were ruling. Suhumas are also said by the Mahabharata. They Suhumas were also the their ancestors were also the son of Bali, adopted son of Bali. যেটা আমরা অলরেডি দেখেছি গঙ্গাতে, they were the actual son of Gautama Dirghatam. So that is about Suhumas. Okay? Remember, it's in the Acharanga Sutra. Now comes the Harikela. So Harikela is important from the perspective. দেখো প্রথমত Harikela, when we talk about Harikela, এটা তোমার গঙ্গার আশেপাশে ছিল, and Harikelas actually ruled till a long time. Okay, so last they were invaded in the 10th century CE. Okay, by the Chandra ruler. So 10th century CE tech they were ruling, and this Harikela people, তাদের ব্যাপারে আরব যারা ইন্ডিয়াতে এসেছিলেন তারাও কিন্তু লিখেছিলেন, and they called them Harkand. Also, Harikela is very famous for silver coins. Mint করার জন্য তারা কিন্তু famous. So this is you should know. Okay. Then is Samtat. Samtater মধ্যে কয়েকটা ইনফরমেশন থাকবে যেগুলো একটু তোমাকে রিটেন করতে হবে। Now let's see Samtat কোন রিজিয়নে বিলং করে। So this is the part of Samtat, you can see. So our Harikela, as I said, Vangar just আশেপাশে, this is the part of Harikela. Now Samtat, if you see, this is actually undivided Bengal আমরা যেটা দেখছি। দেখো পুরো রিজিয়নটা বাংলাদেশ accompany করে আছে। Now in this particular part, here is the Arakanioma. Arakanioma, you know, is part of the Burma, আজকের ডেটে যাকে মিয়ানমার বলা হয়, and also the ranges of Tripura, এটাকে তোমার ইস্ট সাইডে বর্ডার করছে। ওয়েস্ট সাইডে কে বর্ডার করছে? ওয়েস্ট সাইডে ইটস বর্ডার্ড বাই দি river system of Bangladesh. So যেরকম when we saw Vangala, we saw that Vangala is part যেটা তোমার Vangalar ইস্টে আছে যে river system. So the river is actually separating Vangala or Vanga and Samtat. So Samtat is in the part of the today what we call the northeast India. Okay. So Samtat, this is very important from the perspective of certain things. প্রথম হচ্ছে Samtater আমরা explanation about this dynasty we find in a very famous place. It is the Allahabad inscription or Prasasti, Allahabad Prasasti. Allahabad Prasasti ব্যাপারে একটু আমরা জানবো। প্রথমত হচ্ছে the pillar, the Allahabad pillar যেটা, that was done by King Ashok. King Ashok did it. After that, এই Allahabad Prasastite, the Gupta Empire, right? The king of Gupta Empire, Samudra Guptar ব্যাপারে তার court poet Harisena inscription করেছিল। So basically it is mostly known, famous because of the Harisena's inscription on the Gupta Empire king Samudra Gupta, right? So Samudra Guptar ব্যাপারে inscription, and Samudra Gupta, as you know, was the Napoleon. It's called like the Napoleon of the Guptas, right? And of India. So he was a very famous ruler. He was a valiant warrior. So Samudra Guptar ব্যাপারে we find explanation. So who are involved? Ashoka. We have the Samudra Gupta, and who wrote it? Harisena. Then also this Samtata is also mentioned in this particular inscription. The region of Samtata is also mentioned in this particular inscription. Third thing is Samtata. Then to your amazement, তুমি দেখবে যে এখানে we also find inscription by Jahangir of Mughals, right? From the 17th century AD. So Jahangir's inscription এখানে পাই। So see, you see 4 dynasties inscription you can get from here. It also mentions about Samtata. So Allahabad inscription এটা আমরা পাচ্ছি। Who else talks about Samtat? It was Huensang. Huensang or Zhuangzang. Both are same people. Either way you can spell it. He was in the court. He came to the court of Harshvardhan. You know, Pushyabhuti dynasty. His king was Harshvardhan. কখন এসেছিল? 623 AD. So in 623 AD, when he comes and he wants to know about India, especially about Buddhism, he actually converted Harsha into Buddhism. So he wrote a book, So this CUK book, there also he mentions about Samtat. ঠিক আছে? Then another traveler was I Singh. He also mentions. I Singh came in, I think, 673 or 4 AD. So he also mentions. So Huangsang er pore eschilo, I think. Then in Ptolemy's geography also we find mention of Samtat to some extent. Okay, so but this too, an Allahabad inscription is very important. So Samtat er byapare whatever we know is from these inscriptions, nothing much is there. But it is important because it is in the Allahabad inscription. Tarpore amra jacchi hocche Gaur or Goura. So Goura is very, very important. Because Gaurar por amra dekhbo how the trade in West Bengal, in Bengal will flourish. Gaurar সাথে যার নাম জড়িত সে হচ্ছে Shashank. What did he do? Shashank consolidated his kingdom. ছোট ছোট যে kingdoms ছিল তাদেরকে invade করে he brought under his control and then he started ruling. He promoted, because see, যখন you have a lot of area তোমার কাছে taxation বেশি, then he started promoting architecture, art, trade, textiles. সেখান থেকে we will see that how Bengal will become a hub of architecture, art, poetry and also trade. So Shashank was the king who did it. Okay, Shashank was the king who did it. So another thing which you should know about Gaur, so Gaur is the consolidation of Bengal. But Gaurer কোথায় capital ছিল? The capital of Gaur was called as Karna Suvarna. And আজকের ডেটে এটা situated হচ্ছে আমাদের মুর্শিদাবাদ district. Situated in the district of Murshidabad. See, lastly we have the Nanda dynasty. So Nanda dynasty is the dynasty যেটা আমরা start দেখবো from 345 BC to 321 BC. It will be staying 345 to 321. Why it is important? দেখো Gaura Shashank consolidated Bengal, but Nandas will take the dynasty from Bengal till Punjab. Okay, so that is the importance. এরপরে আমরা দেখবো on the footstep of Nandas different dynasties is right. তার মধ্যে সবথেকে ইম্পর্টেন্ট থাকবে মৌর্যাস। ওকে, সো নন্দাসদের মধ্যে সবথেকে ইম্পর্টেন্ট দুজন ছিল, দ্যাট ইজ দি মহাপদ্মানন্দ and the Dhananand. Okay, so আমরা নন্দাসদের ব্যাপারে আরেকটু ডিটেইলে যাব নেক্সট উইক when we will discuss the Mauryans and the Guptas and the Mallas. So we will do Mauryans, Guptas, Mallas and Nandas in a bit detailed way. Okay, so other things whatever you have studied is enough for those dynasties. So Vanga mentioned in Mahabharat, I'll just summarize. Anga both in Mahabharat and in Ramayana. Also Anga capital is Champa in Bihar. Pundraka Vasudev, and he actually went for an alliance with Jarasandha of Magad. Shuhumas are mentioned in the Acharanga Sutra of Jains. Harikela mentioned by the Arabs, right? And silver coinage is important. Samtat you have seen, Huangsang has mentioned, I Singh has mentioned. Also we find in the Allahabad inscription. Gaur we have seen, Gaur Shashank, and the Karna Suvarna region is capital is in Murshidabad. তো এই জিনিসগুলো যদি তুমি মনে রাখতে পারো, it is the part যেখান থেকে কোশ্চেন আসবে। এবার একটা থার্ড পার্ট আমরা দেখবো ancient India, যেখানে আমরা মেজর যে ডাইনাস্টিজ I told you, the Nandas, Mallas, Mauryans and Guptas we will do. So thank you. If you have any doubts, definitely do let me know in my email ID kinkini.mukherjee@studiiq.com. Also you can write in the comment section. Okay, otherwise you can mail me. Thank you.